Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Virtual Designer Retreat 2020. Thank you so much for joining us. It is so wonderful to see all of your beautiful faces. Hopefully you remember me. I'm Sarah Wall, the VP of Marketing at Zephyr. And although we're bummed that we couldn't see everyone in person at the Clift Hotel Lounge or in the lobby of the proper hotel or sipping wine up in Napa, we are very thankful and grateful that you are able to join us today in this way. You know, despite all the craziness of the year, it felt like now was the right time and a great time to do an event like this. We wanted to share with you some new products that we launched earlier this year and to give you a sneak peek at what's to come. So we got the marketing team together and we'll be joined by our VP of Product, Jeremy Snyder. We also have an amazing guest speaker and friend who will be joining us later in this presentation. But most importantly, we really wanted to let you know that we are here for you and your clients' needs. We are still innovating, we are still designing, and we are still manufacturing great things in a not so great year. Now, before we get started, I have a few programming notes. We always encourage, camera on if you can, just so that we can see each other and all of our faces. We're also going to start off with everyone being muted. We do have a couple of Q&A moments, so please feel free to unmute yourself and to ask questions when we get there. And we also have a product raffle at the end, which you won't want to miss. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started? So I believe where we last sort of left off was 2018, 2019. We had just launched our Preserve wine and beverage collection. And in 2020, we really wanted to focus on expanding that collection and bringing more of an offering and making more of an offering available. In addition to that, we really wanted to continue to push the envelope and innovate, creating new technology that we plan to build into a new wave of range hoods this year, which Jeremy will touch on in a little bit. Just a quick little refresher as to why Zephyr. There are three things that we think still really make us and our products different: our cutting edge technology, our dedication to innovation, and of course, our product design. As you guys probably can remember, we talk a lot about our innovation and technology and the emphasis that our product team continues to make year after year. Some of those innovations and technology that we'll be highlighting throughout this presentation or a little bit later are our PowerWave blower technology. This is still best in class. It's the most energy efficient. Not only is it energy efficient, but it's the most powerful as well as the most silent blower currently available on the market today. We have a new LED light bulb coming out pretty soon, Lumilight, which Jeremy will get into a little bit later. Again, pushing the envelope. How can we make LEDs better? 25,000 hour lifetime, dimmable, a more pleasing color output. And of course, our airflow control technology. So being able to restrict the CFM based on code requirements or makeup air requirements in the home. And then, as you know, when it comes to our design, our quality, our distinct attention to detail, our purposeful approach to design, we really try to offer exceptional quality that you can see, that you can touch, and that you can really appreciate. The fit and finish, the craftsmanship that we build and that we take into consideration when making these products, such as the details and welded and polished finishes and edges, and just wanting to make sure that we're creating that extra level of luxury and creating a dependable product that will last and that your clients can count on. So with that, I'd like to reintroduce you to Jeremy Snyder, our VP of Product, so that he can give you all a closer look at our recent technology.
Thanks, Sarah. And hello, everybody. So I'm going to start today by talking a little bit about the innovation and technology behind Zephyr Preserve wine and beverage coolers and our Zephyr range hoods. So the first thing I want to talk about is Preserve. 2 years ago, we introduced Preserve with 4 models. Today, Preserve has grown to 14 models and is still growing every year. Now, we attribute this success to some key features that we implemented that were not previously available in wine and beverage coolers at this price point. Now, some of these key features are 3-color LED lighting. Another one is our full extension Blackwood racks. Prior to our Preserve models, most of the wine coolers in the industry at this price point only had about a 30% extension, so you couldn't see the bottles that were at the back of the wine cooler rack. We introduced active cooling technology. So this is an onboard computer that controls an actual fan that blows cool air into the cabinet of the wine cooler. We introduced precise temp. So this is a feature where we have multiple internal sensors to ensure that there is even temperature and precise temperature control within the wine cooler. And all of our beverage coolers are able to achieve a minimum 34 degrees, which is one of the best in the industry. We have a vibration dampening system. So due to a heavy duty cabinet for the wine and beverage coolers, a high quality components and rubber grommets on all the compressors, we're able to prevent the wine disturbance while your bottles are installed on the racks. We have a dual pane, low E argon filled glass door. And while that's a mouthful, it's very important. It improves insulation and it minimizes heat exchange. It increases the soundproofing to make sure your wine cooler remains quiet. And a low E coating on the door prevents UV and infrared light from entering the actual cooler and disturbing your wine. Now, moving on to range hood. Oops, sorry, skipping ahead here. The next thing that we introduced in Preserve innovation is our retractable glass quarter shelf in our beverage cooler. So this is a convenient glass shelf that retracts to maximize space inside the wine cooler. So it gives you the flexibility to display taller bottles, such as large water bottles, 2 liters of soda, or champagne bottles, while still maximizing the actual quantity that can be stored inside of your beverage cooler. So moving on to range hoods, I like to talk about our Power Wave blower. Now, what's special about Power Wave is that it uses more efficient 3-phase AC power rather than single-phase AC power, which is used in around 90% of the ranges on the market today. Now, 3-phase AC power isn't anything new. In fact, it was invented by this handsome gentleman, Nikola Tesla, over 100 years ago. Now, one of the keys of 3-phase AC power is that it gives us more control over the blower. It also has an aerodynamic fan blade, which can reduce the noise and help us move up to a 750 CFM in a single blower. And an optional dual blower allows us to control and achieve up to 1300 CFM, making it the most powerful internal blower available today in the market. Now let's get geeky for a minute and dive into what makes Power Wave special. So the key thing to understand is the difference between single-phase AC power versus 3-phase AC power. Single-phase AC power is what all of us have coming out of the outlets in our home. Now, on the top of this graph, you'll see a sine wave for a single-phase AC blower. Now, what you'll notice are peaks and valleys. So when you're at the peak, that's when power is being applied. And when you're at the valley, that's when there's no power being applied. Now, with 3-phase AC power, there are actually 3 power wires applied to the motor. So as you can see in the sine wave at the bottom, you have many more peaks and valleys, which are much more close together. So you end up getting a much more consistent power distribution to the motor itself. Now, this might all be a little too technical, so I like to explain it another way. I like to use a canoe analogy. So imagine a lone paddler in a canoe. The paddler can only propel himself forward while the paddle is moving through the water. When he lifts the paddle out of the water, the power supply to the canoe is 0. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now imagine if that same canoe has 3 people inside of it, and each of their paddles is offset by 1/3. So everyone has a paddle in the water at some point propelling the canoe forward. That's 3-phase power. So here's an example of power wave performance sort of in a real world scenario. I've got 3 columns here. I have CFM, which is the airflow performance, the zones or the noise generated, and the wattage. As you can see on the half of the circles with the yellow, that's power wave. So at the CFM, you can see that we are using, have a much higher CFM than most of the competitors, which is 600 CFM. That's sort of the industry norm. When it comes to zones, power wave is much quieter, 0.5 zones compared to 1.7. And on the wattage side, the energy consumption, you can see where it really shines. We're using a fraction of the energy that many of the traditional AC blowers in the market need today. And on top of that, power wave is available in a single blower, and many models also can use a dual blower. You know, Zephyr prides itself on innovating in the marketplace. Whether it's from introducing the first wireless remote control or 3-phase AC blower in a range hood, or the first retractable glass shelf in a beverage cooler, Zephyr has consistently been at the forefront of range hood and cooler innovation. And so with that, I will turn it back to Sarah.
There we go. Thanks, Jeremy. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the design trends that we've seen over the last couple of years that have helped to influence our latest round of new products and our continuous product development. So the first one that's, I don't think any surprise to really any of us, we've seen this, you know, over the last couple of years, are the idea of these outdoor rooms expanding. So especially right now in this pandemic era that we're living in, people are really looking at creating extended family spaces that move beyond the indoors and, you know, into the outdoors. So that means, or what we've seen that mean is that, you know, kitchens are being installed or built outdoors, or if there isn't enough space for a full-blown kitchen or dining and entertaining, sometimes these smaller little nooks with beverage or even like wine coolers and whatnot are starting to pop up. So that I'm sure you all have seen something like that, and so have we. The next trend that we've been really keeping an eye on lately is the integrated appliance trend. You know, there's still a huge demand, mostly but from you, that, you know, the need to really hide the appliances. We want them, or the clients want them, to blend into the cabinetry and to create this discreet and understated look and feel. Another trend that we're continuing to see, and to steal a line from Carisha, passion projects. You know, people are investing a lot in their homes right now, and they're coming up with new ways to create spaces that really make them their own, that speak to their interests, their hobbies, and that will really enhance their lifestyle. So we're starting to see new areas of the home where our products can be integrated that, you know, we might not have really even considered either. So some of those include, you know, the powder rooms or the primary bathrooms, seeing beverage coolers going in there, you know, garages now that are becoming these like workstations that also happen to have beverage nooks in them. We're seeing second kitchens in basements, or maybe even just little prep kitchens kind of off to the side where they'll tuck in a wine or beverage cooler. So, you know, I think this trend is only going to continue as we all are spending more and more time at home and trying to figure out how do we really create a space that we want to spend this much time in and live in. And then, you know, that kind of takes us to this idea of multimedia in the kitchen. You know, we've started to see the refrigerators that have come onto the market that have full screens, that, you know, have message boards that are connected. There's televisions that are being built in to kitchens now. There's stereo systems or speaker systems that are being integrated and built into kitchens. And then of course, there are the smart speakers or the home devices that, you know, we're starting to see pop up as a trend in kitchen design. And then lastly, I kind of touched on this, LED lighting, I think has come a long way. I hope that we are helping to also make that happen. But the benefits of LED really are that, it's so much more energy efficient. They're incredibly long lasting. I think the challenge has always been, how do we create a more pleasing color output? You guys don't design these amazing spaces only to let lighting affect them and to make them turn kind of blue or yellow. And we have some really exciting things with LEDs that I think have kind of come up with a solution for how to offer a better performing quality LED lighting with our Lumilight. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Jeremy again, and he will give you guys a look at what we've been up to for this year and some of the new products for 2020.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. So in April of this year, we launched our first outdoor beverage cooler just in time for barbecue season. And as Sarah mentioned, outdoor kitchens have been growing tremendously in recent years as living spaces has expanded to the outdoors. So our beverage cooler comes with a solid stainless steel door with a full extension wire shelf, which can be used to hold prepped food for the grill or large bottles on their side, as well as 2 glass shelves that can be used to hold your beverages, such as your bottles of beer, cans of soda, bottles of water, etc. Now, like all of our other beverage coolers, it can achieve a 34 to 50 degree temperature range, keeping your drinks properly chilled, and is also ENERGY STAR certified. At the same time, we launched our panel-ready coolers. So the first model here is our panel-ready beverage cooler. And this allows you to customize the door panel to match your cabinetry. It also has a 34 to 50 degree temperature range, a full extension wood rack, so you can put large diameter beer bottles or even champagne bottles on that top rack. We also have shelving in glass that have airflow openings to improve the air circulation within the cooler. And we also have a dual zone wine cooler in a panel ready finish that was launched at the same time. Now the dual zone model is available in a 40 to 65 degree temperature range and has 5 full extension wood racks to store 2 varieties of wine, one in the upper zone, one in the lower zone. And so you have 2 independent cooling zones. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is that the panel ready coolers have black shelf fronts and black toe kicks, because we understand that most people who want a panel ready cooler want it to be more subtle in their environment. They don't want stainless steel when the rest of their cabinets are white or blue and there maybe are no stainless steel appliances in their home. Now, actually, this design decision was made based on feedback from many of you during last year's designer retreat. See, we listened to you. Now, the last preserve product that I want to talk about today are our accessory door handles, which we launched a couple months ago. Now, these handles are available in a brushed gold, a matte black, and stainless steel finish. And then we also have a professional style handle in a stainless steel finish. And these handles are compatible with all of our under cabinet wine coolers. With that, I'm going to talk about Range Hood, and I'd like to introduce this next product with a video. So we began working on Roma Groove in 2018, and that was based on an observation. We noticed many people often had a portable Bluetooth speaker in their kitchen. Now, a portable Bluetooth speaker often doesn't have the greatest sound quality. You have to keep it charged, and it takes up precious counter space. So the idea was to include a Bluetooth stereo system inside of the Range Hood to keep those speakers out of sight and at ear level. Now, Roma Groove's design is based on our popular Roma wall hood, and it's available in two sizes, 30-inch and 36 inches, and has a 600 CFM blower. It includes LED lighting and thin baffle filters. And the key is that it can be connected to any Bluetooth-enabled device, such as your smartphone, a tablet, or a PC, so you can stream music directly to the hood and get your groove on. Our last big initiative of 2020 was transitioning away from old halogen light technology and going into our new LED design, which we're calling Lumilight. Now, Lumilight is a low-profile rectangular LED that has a brushed stainless steel trim and is packed with some key features. For example, it has a 25,000 hour life expectancy. It has a 3,000 Kelvin warm white light output. It has multiple dimming options. So some hoods, it'll have a dual level dimming. In other hoods, it has tri-level dimming. It remains cool to the touch. You don't have to worry about burning your finger if you accidentally touch it. And it's backed by our 3-year parts warranty. Now, Lumilight is already available in all the models shown here, and it will be added to more models actually in the coming months. And even into next year, we'll be expanding it further into additional models. And by the end of 2021, we plan to have all the Zephyr hoods updated with the Lumilight LED. Now, I wanted to go into a sneak peek of what's coming into 2021. And really, the key thing that I want to talk about is our Zephyr Connect. And we're going to start this off also with a video to introduce everybody to Zephyr Connect. Great. So starting in January of 2021, we will be launching Zephyr Connect. And Zephyr Connect consists of 4 key components. So this is the Zephyr Connect app, the Power Wave blower, the proximity controls, which I'll talk about in a minute, and our Lumilight LED, which I just discussed a couple minutes ago with a new rectangular LED with the stainless trim and all of our new LED features. Now, Zephyr Connect is also going to have smart speaker connectivity. Smart speakers have been around for about 5 years now, and it's estimated today that in the US alone, over 90 million households have these Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart speakers. And one of the most popular places to have these smart speakers is in the kitchen. So when we began development of Zephyr Connect over 2 years ago, one of our goals was to make the hood compatible with Amazon Alexa and Google Home so you can control the hood using your voice. Now, in order to do this, you have to what they call provision the hood, which means that you need to have an app to connect Amazon Alexa and Google Home to the hood and actually handle all of that functionality. Now, originally, we didn't want to design an app simply to control the hood. That just to us kind of seemed a little bit silly. So we wanted to make it more functional, and we built in 3 key features. So one is the feature to actually, the function to control the hood itself. And by doing so, you also give yourself ADA compliancy. The second is about maintenance notifications and product information. So the app will be able to notify you when it's time to clean your grease filters, time to replace your charcoal filters. It has convenient links to videos on how to clean your hood, how to replace your filters. And the last part of it is enhanced product support. So we actually set up the ability for the app to provide fault codes if there's ever a problem with your hood, and to easily put you in contact with a Zephyr support professional. In addition, you will have key information about your product. You'll know the model number, you know the serial number, you'll have a photo of it. You'll even know when your warranty expires, so that you always have peace of mind if your product is still covered. Now, we are launching Zephyr Connect with 2 new models. So first one here is our Title 1, which is an 11-inch tall Pro under cabinet hood. It's available in a 30 and 36 inches, 30 and 36 inch sizes, and has our 700 CFM power wave blower with a dual power wave blower option. Now, earlier I mentioned the proximity touch controls. So these controls have a mirror finish. So when the hood is off, the controls actually blend in with the hood. There's no icons on the graphics or anything on the controls. It just looks like a mirror. Now, as you walk up to the hood, it greets you with a hello, and all the buttons that you can interact with will appear. They're super cool, and I'm really excited for all of you to see it in a couple months. We're also introducing Title 2 wall, which is basically the big brother to Title 1. It's an 18-inch tall Pro hood, exact same features as Title 1. We like to keep it simple. So it has the proximity controls, Lumilight LED, the power wave blower, etc. And in addition to the Title hoods, we're also upgrading some of our most popular models that have Zephyr Connect. So the exact same features: Milano wall, Milano Island, Venezia wall, Napoli Island, and also our Milano Connect insert. So we're super excited for all of these models to be available starting in January, and then also adding them to some additional models in the future. So thanks, everyone. That's all I have to share today, and I will give it back to you, Sarah.
Actually, right now, we were hoping if there were any questions that you might have had about any of the new products that we showed or any of the technology that we spoke about. Well, we have Jeremy. Now is the time to ask that. So feel free, if anyone has any questions, go ahead. No?
Can you connect more than one phone?
Yeah, so with Zephyr Connect, it's basically one account per hood. However, multiple people can log in to the same account on multiple phones.
Anyone else?
Did you say that the Title 1 is not ducted? I didn't see that. So it's recirculating, or?
It's both. Yep. It'll have the option to duct out both horizontally and vertically, and it also has an option to convert to a recirculating kit.
Thank you.
For the filter alerts, is that based on the actual hood itself, or are those preset based on like a 3-month span or just a set duration of time?
Exactly. So it is a duration of time based on number of hours that the product is actually used.
So can we download it if we don't have the smart one to remind ourselves to clean our filters? Because I never remember.
Yeah, no, and we actually built that into the hood already. So on the controls, there's a really cool feature. So if it's time to clean your filters, you'll see a little orange notification bell. And when you tap that bell, it'll tell you it's time to clean your filters or it's time to replace your filters. It's super user-friendly.
The price points a lot different than what if they don't have it, or how is that?
So these are new models. I guess the closest model that we would have to these that don't have these features would be our Tempest 1 and Tempest 2. They're a little bit different though in terms of the controls are different. Some of the other functionality is different. The performance will be better on these models, but they're definitely competitive within the marketplace and still cheaper than many of the branded products that are available. And today, just one other thing to add is the models that are currently in the market today. So our Venezia, the Milano, Napoli, some of those models you are all familiar with, we're actually not increasing those prices at all. And we're actually, in some cases, reducing the cost. So we're adding this functionality, reducing the price in some of those models across the board, which we think is really going to be a hit for some of our dealers and designers.
Any other questions? All right, great. Well, then now, I am very, very excited to introduce you to our amazing guest speaker, Carisha Swanson. Carisha is responsible for all of the product editorial in House Beautiful and on housebeautiful.com. She works as on-air talent, hosts panels across the country, and she just recently managed the incredible House Beautiful Whole Home Concept House in Colorado. We are thrilled that you could join us today. Welcome, Carisha.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Sarah, and thank you for inviting me. Before I get started, let me say that I am a huge fan of Zephyr. When the pandemic began, like so many people across the country, I quickly evaluated my current living situation and if this was going to work for my new 2.5-week work from home life. After doing that for 2 days, I quickly realized it would not. And I bought a one-way ticket to my mother's home in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is where I am right now. About a week later, my boyfriend drove our car down from North Carolina, and that 2.5 weeks turned into the summer, turned into us letting go of our apartment, and as of this past Monday, closing on a house outside of Charlotte. This is the beginning of the story of how the pandemic has affected our homes and the way we live. Now, shortly after moving in with my mother, she asked us if we could stop filling up the refrigerator with beer so that there would be space for food. I don't really understand her priorities, but in any case, I quickly assessed a spot in our rec room for that Zephyr 15-inch preserve beverage cooler and where it could live. This is the other part of the pandemic story, that of multi-generational families living together, the need for individual spaces without beds and doors that shut, and having access throughout the house to appliances that traditionally only lived in the kitchen. Next slide, please. For the last 3 years, House Beautiful has been working on what we call the whole home concept house that Sarah already alluded to. And this year, we chose a new development coming up between Denver and Colorado Springs that we thought would have a great storyline. The idea of this property and this development was ahead of the curve. It offered an attached in-law suite that we fondly renamed the Boomer Suite. And for anybody not familiar with kind of the ethos of House Beautiful, we're going to change the name of anything to make it more fun. It also had access to outdoor space from almost every room. Both floors, it's a 2-floor home, both floors offered rooms with doors that were not bedrooms for privacy. And finally, the property offered a detached exterior space that functioned as a getaway while still being at home that we fondly called the wee shed. You might hear me emphasize this bedroom moment often, but here's the thing. It is really hard to have your working space be in your bedroom. I think it affects your rest, your intimacy, and your stress level. So really finding those spaces that are not where you sleep to manage your day from home is very important. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the kitchen. This particular kitchen was actually created to work for a multi-generational family. The designer of it is Studio Dearborn, Sarah Robertson out of New York. There is seating on 3 sides of the island with room for grandparents to help. There is even a dedicated space for the family dog on the right side of the island. One of the things that's been trending for a while now is the idea of zones in the kitchen. And if you've picked up the November issue of House Beautiful, you would see that the cabinets to the left, the white wall of cabinets, which look like a wall of refrigeration, actually house an entire breakfast station. There is still refrigeration there, but the first panel is actually a breakfast station. This is how we're living. When the primary cooking is being done, we need the rest of our family to have access to other parts of the kitchen without being in the way. That's not going to change. But what I have seen changing is who that cook is in the house. That's been shifting. It used to be the domain of a specific person, mom, dad, maybe even one of the kids that love to cook. But this new eating from home, cooking from home life can't be the burden of one person. And I think everybody actually does really want to be involved. And so what we've seen is even in homes where renovation plans had already been figured out and permitting was supposed to be along the way, we heard that homeowners were calling up their designers and saying, pump the brakes. We need to rethink this kitchen design to work for a family functioning in this kitchen together. As things have begun to normalize a bit, the reality is that a lot of companies are not requiring their employees to come back to the office, me being one of them. And so this trend towards a family kitchen that functions for all will continue to be a lasting priority. The other thing I do want to show you is, next slide, please, is this multi-generational additional apartment that I mentioned earlier, our boomer suite. Also can be called a boomerang suite because I think that we've also seen people like me coming back home. So what I'll quickly say about these two shots is this kitchen didn't need to be as massive as the one in the primary part of the home. And the refrigeration configuration is completely different because this is for one or two people to live in independently, versus the other kitchen that's really built for the entire family and has room for social gatherings. The idea that future architecture will once again take into account the extended family is super important. Next slide, please. When we all started, just want to make sure, it's there. When we all started to get back to work again with our kids at home and going back to school, who had the time to be a teacher, an employee, a parent, and chef, boy or girl RD? If families that could do it had had the space to have their parents there, i.e. their grandparents there, instead of across the country, some of the stresses of that time period could have been alleviated, including the inability to actually access our loved ones then or now. Next slide, please. And of course, if any of you out there know me, you'll know this is very important to me. Speaking of things that we miss so much, the bar. You know, a dedicated home bar, some might have argued, was going out of vogue. You would find little niches in people's kitchens dedicated to a wine fridge or a beverage fridge, a Zephyr one, of course, or an ice maker. And of course, depending on space, that's not going anywhere. If you don't have the space for a full-on bar, these elements, these niches will still be used in the same way. But this idea of bringing the home bar back as a place to socialize in an environment you're comfortable in, it's pretty dead on. And the designers that created this space, me and General Design, husband and wife team, also had an adjoining space that was the media room with a big 65-inch TV. This lower level family playroom, as we like to call it, could function as the social spot of this house that was about movie night, game night, and connecting with family and friends. Next slide, please. By the way, this may be this home's bar area, but it literally rivals the size and function of most urban apartments or urban apartment kitchens I've seen. In this slide, you can see the Zephyr Dual fridge or the Zephyr Dual cooler with wine and beverage, but the inside space of this bar also has a full-size dishwasher, a microwave drawer, a bar prep sink. The only thing it didn't have was a stovetop. It really does have everything for not having to worry about running upstairs to the main level. It also means that if you were having people over, they can come in on that lower level directly, especially since this house has so much outdoor space, and not kind of be going through the entire house. Next slide, please. So I think this has been and will continue to be on everyone's, oh my gosh, I want this list. And next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys didn't see that picture. Go back one more. This is the Zephyr cooler that I mentioned. And I just want to emphasize, I think everybody here, because you are part of the retreat, know this, but the fact that the left-hand side can hold wine, the right-hand side can hold beverages that are kid-friendly, but also more adult beverages, I think is fantastic and really helped kind of complete this space being perfect for a family. So go ahead, please, next slide. So as I was saying, the outdoor space, I think that this continues to be the, oh my gosh, I want this list for everybody. And that is a fully realized outdoor kitchen. It might take a while for all of us to get comfortable with each other again, but everybody seems very comfortable outdoor socializing. And it's much easier to maintain a little bit of social distancing when you're outdoors and still be able to see people you care about. As people look towards next summer, or at least getting through hopefully a quick winter, without a full understanding of where 2021 will put us, we'll all still be looking and evaluating our outdoor spaces. We at House Beautiful saw an uptick of online traffic with people looking for information this summer on, for instance, putting in pools because people were at home and because they weren't spending money on vacations. We believe fully that this trend of truly investing in a completely realized outdoor space will continue to grow, and that it will function as kitchen, dining, TV watching, those great outdoor TVs, and a game space. It will be all the things to the family that lives in that home. Next slide, please. The final two slides kind of speak to what I was saying about those external spaces. Now, granted, the we shed I mentioned before is actually a detached structure that can work as a hyper-local getaway for the parents, date night with one kid, think like dad and son go play chess, but can also function as an office anytime for the kids or parents. And that last structure is actually gonna show up in the first issue of 2021 for us. Next slide, please. In this case, we're focusing on the garage as what we consider the enthusiast retreat. And the idea here is to truly emphasize the fact that we are no longer taking for granted any square foot in our homes. And this garage that has a full snack and drink station that you can see there, another 55-inch television, and a wall of bicycling gear and paraphernalia is a prime example of maximizing space everywhere and making snacks accessible in every lounge-based hangout room. This was the last slide to showcase the way we are thinking about homes now. We're no longer allowing the dining room, for instance, to be used only on special occasions. We are seeking out rooms that are not bedrooms for getting tasks done. We are eking out individual spaces to relax in wherever we can. And we are prioritizing outdoor space like we never have before. And I always joke, being at my mother's house here that has a substantial backyard and front yard, non-government regulated space. We all need our outdoor space to be unmasked and feel free in. For this project in Colorado, we had 12 design teams from across the country. And this was definitely a challenging thing to be part of when nobody could travel. As I'm sure you've all done, the ability to quickly pivot and figure out how to design without physically being in a space was a challenge unto itself. But the most successful design teams have been the ones that were able to quickly pivot and figure out ways to service their clients that were desperate to improve their homes from the environment they were in. And I think I hopefully speak for all of you. I've never seen the design industry busier than I have over the last, let's say, 6 months. The same goes for businesses within our industry. They too had to quickly adapt, sending out multiple swatches, one going to you as designers, one going to your clients. While I happen to know this was an expense they didn't expect, I do believe it's a business trend that will continue going forward. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I believe that it gives you as designers access to clients from everywhere that love and appreciate your work, and that the boundaries of being able to get to a place or managing schedules the way that it existed before no longer have the same challenges. I know that being in the actual space you're designing and being able to touch and feel and see the light coming in and how rooms interact with each other is so important to designers. But what I also know and have seen is that great design can still exist even within the confines of a virtual experience. Looking forward, I believe that all these things will play into how, as we as an industry continue to adapt and develop and service our clients and each other, it'll make a huge impact. And that even for those people that treated home as a quick stop in while they were on the road, now understand how much your home can do for you and how great a well-designed home can make you feel every day. I want to thank the Zephyr team again for inviting me. And I know a lot of questions came in that I wanted to leave time for. So I think we're ready for our Q&A.
All right, Carisha, thank you so much again. We had some very thoughtful questions. You know, this is a group of designers that I think looking into the future in terms of also getting published in House Beautiful. So I think we're going to start there. How do you determine which products to publish and how much info do you want in that initial pitch?
So I feel like that question is probably, I'm not sure if it was geared at products or if it was geared at homes and home tours and things like that. But I'm going to assume, since we have designers, it was actually home tours. And so, so the key thing is, when you are sending a project in, think about the story. What would make you want to read about it? When you're pitching it to us, we need to know what's different, because what we get all the time are beautiful homes, beautiful rooms. Tell us the story. We don't have to mention the actual homeowner's name, but we want to know what the homeowner was asking for, what challenges came up, what things were hiding behind the walls, especially if it's kitchen design. I want to see the smart solutions that you made behind the cabinet doors, how you fixed a problem how you solved a problem they may not have even known they had, how you introduced them to an appliance that they now use all the time, but they didn't even realize existed. So really think about yourself as the audience. Think about all the other things you've seen when you've read and taken in magazines and Pinterest and all those things, and what story is going to really bring you into it. And then pitch that to us. Give us the stuff that we can't just see with our eyes.
Awesome. Does putting your work online before you pitch a publication hurt your chance at getting featured in print?
All right. I love this question. 5 years ago, yes. Now it's a little bit different, but here's the thing. It's all about exposure. So if you know you want to pitch, you've done an amazing project and you feel like it is worthy of a brand, my brand, El Decor Veranda, AD, traditional home, you pick it. You find that brand. You want to get it in front of them first before you kind of explode it all over the internet. I recently, and that's not always up to you, I recently reached out to a kitchen designer that I'm very fond of, whose work I love already. And I was like, do you have any new projects? She sent me a few, and one of them, I was like, God, this looks so familiar. And it was because it had been on Instagram, then it had blown up on Instagram. It obviously was on her site. It was all over Pinterest. Like, it was everywhere. Sometimes we just don't have control over those things. But what I can tell you, if it's a project that feels like it's worthy of one of those brands, it's worth trying to get it in, because the exposure you'll get by being on their social platform or on their digital platform is a lot bigger than the audience that you already have and that already knows you.
And then in that vein, how many times to follow up is appropriate after you've submitted your pitch?
I've had this question asked on panels before of other editors, and it's always amusing because we all have different responses. I am somebody, so if you're talking about me, I am somebody that when I'm in the middle of something cannot get to the other things. I have to be hyper focused on getting done what I need to be done in that moment. And if I'm not looking for a project, then I'm probably not responding to you in that moment. I like follow-ups. I would say, maybe a week and a half later. I also think that sometimes it's useful to figure out an editor's times. When I was working in New York City and living in Connecticut, if somebody sent me a project before 9:30 in the morning or between 5:30 and 7, I would see it because I was commuting and I finally wasn't like being interrupted with 10,000 meetings during the day. I could finally actually respond. So I think I'd say start to build those relationships. Robert Ruffino, our style director, who's the person that looks most at projects first, he actually has open house Fridays. It was written about on Business of Home. And you can submit your portfolio, and it is a portfolio review by the man. He's worked everywhere. He did the windows at Tiffany's. He is the guy. And he will be very honest with you because he's at a point where he has nothing to lose by not. But it's a good moment for him to tell you the things that you need to work on, and it may not be the space, it might be the way it's shot. I would say that if you're hiring a photographer to shoot for you, think about it editorially. Think about how the lighting is, open up those doors and drawers, showcase the things that are pretty, showcase the things that are expressive. That just helps us tell a better story in the end.
Awesome. Do you have advice for designers who would like to interact with products and brands more?
So that was another one that I was a little like, what exactly? So when you said, I didn't know if the brands were our brands or like other brands.
And brands in terms of, other like an appliance manufacturer, like a Zephyr brand partnering with like other companies.
Oh, other companies. Okay. So advice for partnering with other companies. I would say be in a show house. And the reason I say that is like you end up with really intimate relationships with brands that maybe you didn't know before. They get to know your portfolio. We have definitely had with our Kitchen of the Year last year, I think the designer there ended up with like multiple opportunities for licenses because the work was so extraordinary. So I think, but even beyond that, like even that was a different scenario because that was a whole kitchen that was being exposed. Show homes should give you the opportunity to work with new brands and to be exposed to them. And I think that's a great opportunity for getting to know people. Also, if you are working with your reps in different places, tell them that you're interested in being part of some of these designer fed and led events because they are having a ton of them. It's a great way to get educated. I was, just to be clear, taking notes when Jeremy was talking about new products. So it's a great way to be educated about what's upcoming.
Okay, great. And then kind of to wrap it up on a personal note, what's one thing that you wish you would have known 5 years ago?
I wish I had known to invest in Clorox as a business, stock exchange, and toilet paper. Who owns toilet paper? Procter & Gamble? I don't know. I don't know. But whoever has toilet paper and Clorox, I wish I'd invested in them 5 years ago. If that didn't answer your question, you can always find me at Hearst. My email is very open.
There was just one more question that just came in. When would you advise to like move on from a magazine after you pitched it, who was like not following up, to your email?
I would say this. Magazine circulation, magazine distribution has gone down. I don't think I'm using the right term. Like the amount of magazines that come out per year has shrunk, especially in the home world, right? Do not discount the reach of digital. Our digital audience is like tens of millions of people. We also do videos for our tours. I started a, what you guys know at Zephyr, I started a episode or a program on YouTube called Incredible Kitchens. So there's lots of different opportunities and ways to get exposure. Don't limit yourself to just print when the amount of print magazines and the amount of magazines coming out per year is smaller, and you can only show so many pictures and only tell so much of a story in print. Print still has a really substantial place, but it's not the only place to showcase your work. So if you feel like you haven't gotten anywhere with print, ask them if there's a digital editor, if you're interested in that. Ask them if there's a digital editor that you can send the story to that might be open to telling the story online. Just, and feel free again to reach out to me with any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from our guests for Carisha?
Oh.
All right.
I see
Turn it
this
back
question.
to.
Oh, did you see this one? How old of a project is old that you want to pet?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
How old is too old, basically, I think is what the thing
Right.
is. That's another interesting one. We'd like for the products to still be available. So, and I would say it needs to feel, the space still needs to feel current, and the closer you can do it to the time, the better, but it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. Sometimes you haven't been able to get back in there and shoot it again. But I will say, I've seen it with my own eyes. Homeowners destroy a space when they finally get into it. So if you can get those beautiful pictures early, do it. But we have gone back into kitchens before when the family lives in it, and it's never as pretty as when you guys leave. So if you are pitching it again, get somebody in there to clean it and photograph it.
All right, thank you so much. Oh,
They
sorry.
are an issue. Erin, yes, they are in the issue of the November issue of House Beautiful right now.
I love that. So when you're talking about the show homes, how do you get involved with one? Like, how do you even know when they're coming about? How do you get involved? And then also, caveat to that, do you have to be a licensed interior designer to be involved?
No, I don't know. First of all, to answer the secondary question, no. I think you need to have work, you need to have a portfolio clearly, and I think that's really it, just that you are able to really execute the thing. We look for a diversity of designers in terms of locations, in terms of how long they've been in business. So you'll see a lot of that. I had a few, probably too many Texas designers this year, but before the pandemic hit, I was hoping to go eat barbecue for all of 2020, and that didn't happen. So my plan backfired. But the way to get involved is, I would say, most show homes all happen at the same time. Not all happen at the same time. Like they're on a calendar. So if you've seen one in a magazine, you can pretty much tell like based on like when that show home was developed, go backwards from there. Start reaching out to the writer, designer, style director that's listed in the that's listed on the story, and everybody has them. Southern Living has them, we have them. Everybody has a version of it that exposes designers, including of course Kips Bay and other more local charity-based companies.
Cool.
All right, I think that wraps the Q&A with Carisha. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. I wish it was happy hour time for all the West Coast people, not quite.
Good cheers.
I think next up, Erica.
Yes.
You have some fun planned.
Very exciting. Yeah. So we want to thank first everybody for coming, and with the holidays upon us, and we're just really feeling in spirit of giving right now. We are giving away 3 Preserve coolers. So you have the option of a Dual Zo wine, a beverage cooler, a 24-inch, or a French door wine and bev cooler. So I have everybody's name here and my magic bowl, and I'm going to pick 3 winners. The first winner, Lori Gilder.
Yay, Lori.
Second winner.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, this is such a joy.
Vanessa Francis.
Hey, Vanessa.
And our final winner, Dorothy Masick.
Oh my God, so exciting. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
I'll
you.
email you 3 and get your address, and we'll get those shipped out.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
And also, we are sending a little thank you and their gift that will be coming probably by the end of next week. So be on the lookout to your address that you provided. We just really appreciate you guys joining us, and it's so great to see your faces. We definitely miss you all, but I think this was a fun little get together update for everyone.
Yeah. So lastly, before we go, I just wanted to mention, as always, we are always on the hunt for product partnership opportunities. Please reach out to us if you have any projects that you might be interested in working with us on. And then, of course, I just want to give a huge thank you to Erica. She is the one responsible for orchestrating and for organizing this entire event. Thank you to our speakers, Carisha and to Jeremy. Thank you to our marketing team, Jennifer, for all your creative content, and to Corinne, Kathy, and Cliff for your support. And congratulations to our raffle winners. And thank you all for joining us. We wish you the best and we wish you well. And it's been wonderful being able to see you again in this forum. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was great.